I grew up in like craziness as a kid in foster care and being given away and abused and weird stuff, and having a young kid, finding my real dad, getting married young, playing in the NFL, all the cool stuff, and then getting divorced, family falling apart, not being in good shape, just everything went, down the toilet. But I was like, I don't like this guy. He's not good in business. He's not a good dad. He's not good in relationships. He's not taking care of himself. Like, it's just not good for this guy. And I went down this path of figuring out, what do I have to do for me? I went through a lot of different shifts of my identity, or a lot of moments that should have heavily shifted my identity. And many did, And the thing is, for a lot of people, those things are enough to keep them stuck forever. Yeah, it's a good question. I ask almost the exact same question whenever I start mine. I say, what? We're walking around town. Why? And I sit down at a coffee shop. Why should anybody listen to you? Is a question well, because here's what I think. In the world of that we live in, I'll give you a short answer. I'll give you a look medium. I have a lot of craziness I've experienced in life, a lot. I've experienced the negative side of a lot of it, and in doing so, I had to figure out how to find a way back to the top of it. And in doing so, I learned a lot on the journey. And so the reason I believe that people should listen to me is because I've crossed some finish lines. Everybody talks to the world. A lot of people with social media is what we're doing nowadays. We are all talking to the world. Look at my breakfast, look at my soup, right? And the reality is, a lot of people don't have much to really add to the conversation because they don't have much that they've actually accomplished. They haven't finished or solved their problems. So for me, I've said, hey, I experienced the problems. 2, solve the problems. 3, I want to share with you what I did to solve the problem. So hopefully you can avoid this problem. So if you're wondering why you listen to me, it's because I've run the race. A lot of people are running in different areas, not all, obviously, but I've crossed the finish line, which tells me, like, hey, you know what? Maybe I did make a left turn there, but I probably shouldn't have. So you probably shouldn't either, and it becomes of more value to the world.
Mm-hmm. What is it for you? Like, what do you mean by? So first of all, the first question that really pops into my mind is, by when did you solve the problem?
Well, when
Because nowadays people are rushing everything. By age of 25, you kind of need to have everything figured out. Even like you need to understand yourself like from toes to till head. So by when did you actually solve the problem?
Well, the thing is, every problem's relative, right? So I haven't solved the problem of $1 billion. Right? I'm not a billionaire, and that's the thing, is like, I'm not trying to solve every problem, but every problem has in my life that I've accomplished. Like, there's a benefit of somebody from it. Like, someone will benefit from that problem, not everybody. So, like, for me, the relationship, like, I figured out how to be a great husband probably about 5 years ago, right? So it took me a lot of years to figure that one out, or how to be a great dad years ago. Business, figured business out, and once I did that, like, I was like, all right, now I'm benefit. Probably like a good 4 or 5 years ago, I figured out like the business, conundrum, we'll call it. At those moments, then I'm of use for the person who wants to build a business at a level my business is at. Again, I don't run a multinational corporation, so I'm not going to be of benefit to the multinational corporations, right? But I am of benefit to a person or demographic or a smaller company because I'm at a place they want to go. So it's a fluid question. It'll always be a fluid question and has a fluid answer, right? Because I don't know exactly when I've crossed the threshold of solving that problem. And then when I do, I go, oh, okay, great, I've done it. Now who would benefit from this?
How do you even start by trying to solve a problem? Because nowadays it's like it's overwhelming, right? Loads of people want to start a business, they never start one. Loads of people want to understand themselves. Well, they are scared of getting too into the deep. What is it that actually? What is first of all the motivation for you to go there, and how do you actually do it?
I think the motivation is the same for everybody. We all have a desire for what that solving that problem will give us, right? So no matter what it is, in your own head, it's one thing. I think that our desire to have instant gratification is a problem when it comes to trying to do new stuff, because in order to actually answer that question and go, well, what do we have to do to solve the problem? You have to make it small. You can't attack. If you're going to attack an entire army, it's better to attack the individual, military people, the individual soldier, as opposed to attacking the entire army, right? Because it's like, oh, I can't. But you can I can take out one guy at a time. That's why if you think about when like there's like this solo movie and the guy's a freaky killer guy, he doesn't walk out in the open and go like, "Hey everybody, here I am," and take them all on. He's sneaking around the building, slicing one guy's neck, slicing his neck. Like it's one by one. You make the army smaller, little by little, and then what happens is you do better. Now we in this instant gratification world, we want to go out and kill the whole army. It's like my kids, they play these video games like they Call of Duty, they shoot people. They're running down the middle of the map going crazy. I'm like, we're gonna die, and they do. They keep getting killed. I'm like, this is why I'm better than you, because you go in and you just you sneak along and you find one guy and take him out. Find the next guy, take him out. So there's a thing of where you gotta look at life and go, I need to be calm and under control, and I need to attack this and make it a small problem. And what it is you just pull it apart. Here's the big thing. Like, I want to at least start a business. Great. You can't go, hey, you know what? I'm gonna clear my schedule Friday afternoon and start a business. Like it's not how it works. You don't just clear out an afternoon. The idea is to go, what are all the pieces? It may take you 5 afternoons just to figure out what all the small pieces of it are. And then you go, okay, great, that's done. Now of the pieces, one of these is gonna take me 3 months to get figured out. Cool, the time's gonna pass anyways. Let me work on this for 3 months. And then you get done and go, okay, the next one's gonna take 6 months, right? You build slowly, but you make it small. Because if you show up and go, you know what, I want to launch a business, I'm going to get it done. And then you go, I'm going to clear out my schedule Friday. You show up Friday and all of a sudden you're distracted. You can't get anything done. Or you realize this is going to be a 6-year thing. Oh, I can't get this done. And all of a sudden you feel like a loser because you didn't get it done Friday afternoon. Well, you just gave yourself an unrealistic expectation and you didn't have the ability to get it done. So it's like, yeah, you wanted it. And that was the motivation because you saw what it was going to be. But then you attacked the entire army. You got to go and take it little by little, make the big things small and attack the small things.
Decomposing the problem.
Yeah, man. Itty bitty bitty bitty.
Exactly. I love that. I was wondering, you've gone through a lot. What would you say has been the one, like you call it identity shift? What has been the biggest identity shift for you that has influenced you over the course of the years into the man that you have become today?
Yeah, it would have been in 2016, because it was okay. 2016 when I'd gone through a whole lot of life. Like I grew up in like craziness as a kid in foster care and being given away and abused and weird stuff, and having a young kid, finding my real dad, getting married young, playing in the NFL, all the cool stuff, and then getting divorced, family falling apart, not being in good shape, just everything went, down the toilet. And then what ended up happening was I woke up and I was like, I have all these things going on in life that were difficult. My mom had passed away. Like, I had a lot of things that were not doing too well. And what we do when we're experiencing this stuff typically is we do a good job of trying to distract ourselves from the pain. So we'll drink it away, smoke it away, sex it away, right? We'll do all these different things so that we don't have to experience the pain of it. And for me, what I found is like I woke up one day, I was like, I don't like this guy. And the reality is I am the common denominator in all of my problems. It's me. No matter. Now here's the thing.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, it may not be that they're all your fault. Let me just make this clear. Not every problem is our fault, but we either are the cause of it or we're accepting it or allowing it. And if you have it in your life and you aren't causing it, it's almost worse to just be allowing it, to be in that relationship where you're getting abused and beaten and emotionally distraught, to be in a job that drains your soul and a boss who belittles you every day, like to be in a body that you look at every day and don't love. Like, you're allowing these things. And you may not want to think that because it hits the heart a little bit, but you're allowing it. And so what ends up happening is like a lot of people, they got to get to that point of saying, I got to get out of here. So for me, I was like, I don't like this guy. He's not good in business. He's not a good dad. He's not good in relationships. He's not taking care of himself. Like, it's just not good for this guy. And I went down this path of figuring out, what do I have to do for me, specific to Anthony, to fix this? Like, what is Anthony? Because if I go and try and do what, I don't know, Mother Teresa's doing to make her life better, or go and do what the president's doing, like, I'm not going to have it, my life's not going to change. So the idea is like, you got to find out what your specific thing is. And so when I did, all of a sudden life got better. And that for me is like the key. And that was my biggest shift. It was 2016, man. That's when everything changed.
What was it that you needed to do for yourself? Because I guess like it sounds like you've had different things into your life. And nowadays it's also said that, well, you shouldn't tackle every single problem at the same time.
Now
How
you
did you go over it?
well, you can actually. I think you can tackle the problems.
Okay.
So yeah, it depends on how you live your life. That's the thing that you can't operate from emotion. Most of us get up every day and we just go. And what I look at is a lot of people are living their life by waking up and saying, "What am I going to do today? What am I going to tell life that I want to do today? How do I feel today?" And I'll do what I feel. And then you end up getting to a point where you get to the end of the day and you go, "I didn't do anything I needed to do. I didn't get anywhere." And what I look at is life is kind of like running a business like this. If you have a business where you get up every day and you tell the business what to do, like we got to market, you have to market today, you got to make these phone calls, got to do this. One day you're going to get up and not feel like making a call, or you're going to forget to pay that person. You're going to forget to make the marketing, the design, whatever it is. You're going to forget something, and the business starts going down. Where the reality is, the best businesses in the world, they run because the business is designed in a way to tell you what to do that day. So it tells me I got to get up and I got to get the fried, grease on for the McDonald's, and I got to make sure that the hamburger thing's warmed up, and I got to open the door, and I got to mop the floors. It's every day telling you what to do. So all of a sudden McDonald's runs like a machine, right? Well, for your life, it's the same thing. If you need to work on your health and the relationship and the business all at the same time, well, great. When you schedule your life, you should wake up and your life and your planner should go, "Hey, get a workout in, fatty. It's time to get a workout in," right? "Hey, go take your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend out on a date because it's date night. And you know what? Make sure in the middle of the day you focus on these 3 things for the business because it's time to work on these 3 things." So in a 5-hour span of 16 hours awake that you have, you got all that stuff worked on. Did you solve all the problems today? No, you're not trying to solve them all today, but you're trying to get some progress in each one of them. And if you schedule and your life tells you what you need to do that day, then lo and behold, you can work on all of it at the exact same time.
Damn, I love that. It's a completely different mindset to what you're hearing nowadays, especially.
And it works. The one thing works. Don't get me wrong. There should be a main core focus. At the same time, bro, like you could do more than one thing. Like it's weird that people try to only do one. It's like, what are you gonna do the rest of the day? What happens the rest of the day? You can't work out all day long.
I think it's more like to not push themselves. But again, I don't think that people are conscious that they can push themselves way harder than they actually can.
Yeah, yeah, it's uncomfortable, and I think there's not a level of certainty for a lot of folks. Like because they don't plan it out. They're like, there's no certainty that if I do this really hard right now, it's gonna work out. So why give all of my all if I'm not for sure? Like I played
Unknown
sports.
unknowns.
Unknown, yeah, right. I played sports, and I knew that if I went out there and ran as hard as I could, as fast as I could, that I could win this game. There was certainty to it. But if I'm just living my life, there's no certainty that if I run real hard and real fast all day, that I'm going to get there. Because we've done that, and we found like, oh, I didn't get anywhere. So we already have that built-in skepticism. And realistically, a lot of the time, it was just you didn't plan properly. The game of life doesn't have a clear scoreboard, And if you don't clarify your scoreboard, you could be running real hard in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm. This comes up to a question. I actually like to ask this to a few people because everyone has their different opinion to it, and it's a simple question. You've probably thought of it. It's are you afraid of dying?
No, I don't want to die. There's a difference between
Okay.
I don't want to die, but I'm not afraid of dying. Because here's the thing. I guess there's a couple levels of this. One, I'm a man of faith, and I believe I live my life in a way that's clean and honor, and I have a relationship with my Christ, my God, right? So, if I do, I'm going to a good place. That's my belief. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't care what anybody else thinks. I know what I believe, right? So I'm not afraid of dying. Do I want to die? Like no, because this earth was created for us to live on it, and I want to be here as long as I can, and I want to experience cool things. Like why not want to do that? And if I go now, all my cool people are going to be still here. I got to wait for them. I don't want to wait. I don't want to be at the bus stop waiting for them. So part of that, but at the same time, I know there are things that I'm supposed to do while I'm here, but I also live my life every day in a way to where I'm doing those things daily. I may not have crossed that ultimate finish line, that big mountaintop thing, but who knows if I'm supposed to or not, but I don't waste my days. There are very few days that I sit and do nothing or don't make progress. Like, and it's who I am. It doesn't drain me. It fills me up to do the things that I do. So for me, like, no, I'm not afraid of dying. I don't want to die, but I don't live my life in a space of like, oh, if I died, it'd be horrible and crazy. I'd miss stuff. Like, no, it would have been my time.
Okay. So you're not afraid that you haven't experienced enough.
No. No, I mean, I want to experience a whole hell of a lot more, but I'm not like deathly afraid of it. No.
Okay. In regards, you touched upon it, that you take your day into, like, you do all the things that you like to do on the day, and you feel like you are structuring your life according to the things that you want to do. And essentially now you are an identity shift coach. And I was wondering, what was your calling towards that? When was the day that you're like, okay, I am doing this, specifically also identity shift coach? Or if I were to be Simon Sinek, I would essentially ask you, what is your why?
I mean, I don't know if the why, it's weird. I think that we all like live lives and all of a sudden we end up coming across something or realize we've done something that other people haven't done. And then you go, oh, maybe I can share that with the world. So for me, like I went through a lot of different shifts of my identity or a lot of moments that should have heavily shifted my identity. And many did, And the thing is, for a lot of people, those things are enough to keep them stuck forever. Like there are people that I know that have experienced some of the things I have and they're still there, like they're still in that funky place. They haven't come out of it yet. And it's unfortunate because they don't have to be there, but they're still there. And for me, like I was able to move past a lot of them, people passing away or losing my career or getting divorced or business not doing so well. And people never recover from it, but I did. And so I think what ended up happening is I got to this point where I recounted it. I went and looked at it and talked about it in ways that other people didn't talk about. And in doing so, you start finding out that there's this interesting sweet spot. And the sweet spot's pretty simple. The sweet spot's a space where I or anybody does something that they love to do, and other people love that they do it. So when you ask, what's my why? Like, I don't know if there's a definitive, like, this is why I get up in the world. There are some things that, like, this is what I believe I'm here to do, and I love doing it. But I believe that there's something that I'm in a great space of, I love doing this. I love this. And other people, they love that I do it. So it's like, all right, everybody's winning. Let's play that game.
I love that. I love that. You touched upon a little bit as well, on some people staying stuck. And when I think of like your whole concept, identity shift, and I think of other people, also like people that are stuck, I think of people that come to their minds thinking, okay, if I'm shifting my own identity, am I not cheating on myself? Isn't identity supposed to be something that is finite? Like, this is just the way I am?
No, it never has been for anybody. Are you the same person you were at 9 years old?
Hell no.
Yeah, right. And that's a natural progression. We go from grade to grade. We're different at 4 years old and 5 years old. And hey, you're a 10-year-old now. You're a sophomore now. You're a blank now. My son's a senior in high school. You're a senior now. Those are all just different. Those are different versions of an identity. You're never cheating on yourself. You're becoming more of yourself. There's an interesting thing. I don't know who I learned it from, but like if you go to like the neuroscience, whenever you're met with difficulty or hardship, your brain actually it cracks open some of the genetic code and some new like cells release and some new proteins. And in fact, more of your genetic code is released. So difficulty, hardship increases who you are. It releases more of who you are. Genuinely, at a scientific level, more of who you are is released in difficulty and hardship. And the more we're in life, the more difficulty and hardship we naturally are experiencing. So at a scientific level, you are becoming more all the time. And you're not cheating on yourself. You're going with the natural order of life and flow. And an identity is something that we all have, and it's always been fluid. It's always been moving. The problem is, at some point in time, our identity doesn't match our dream. And then we wonder, like, why am I not where I want to be? It's like, well, because you have this dream that's at a certain level, And your assumption is who you are right now is who you're always going to be. So what we do is we stop putting ourselves in positions to feel the stress to release more of who we are, to level up our identity to the version of that dream we have. And so we find ways to stagnate, make excuses, sit small. We'll do the same thing every day, but we're not doing that next level thing. Therefore, you never expand into the next level of you. The same mechanics of how a shift takes place, they operate whether it's intentional or unintentional. It's just the nature. It's like a law of how we work as humans. The more you do something, the more it becomes who you are. It's just how it works. That's why you can have someone who is a school teacher that all of a sudden goes off to join the military, and they become a soldier. Right? It's the law. It's just what's going to happen, and it's all by repetition. So most of the time, you're right. We do it as kids with teachers, preachers, coaches, leaders. Television, TVs, movies. It's all the same stuff. And so what ends up happening is we just do it. Now, no one usually thinks of doing it proactively. Nobody usually goes and says, what if I choose what I'm doing? What if I choose the inputs of this to where it becomes the output I desire? And when you do that, you actually find a way to have more of what you specifically want, not more of what the byproduct is of the unintentional efforts you gave were.
That makes definitely sense. What is the biggest misconception about shifting your identity, would you say?
I think people think you're changing yourself, and they also think it's mindset. And it's not. Identity is not mindset. Identity it's a core root of who you are. And part of that is a mindset, right? The part of you is a mind, but the funny thing is you don't see, like when people can say, how are you so successful? They go like, I work real hard, I get things done. I don't know. I just it's who I am to do these things. They don't go, I have a great mindset. Like that's not typically what you hear someone. They don't go, I got a great mindset. It's why I do what I do, right? And the reality is like typically it ends up being something where like it's just a piece of their identity that is expressed in that way almost naturally. And then I think that the idea of change is heavy for people. People go, I don't want to change who I am. What are you talking about? Change my identity, be a different person? It's like, no, it's a shift. It's not a matter of like my wife. My wife from 16 years old till now, she's damn near the same person. But 80% of her is just different. And that difference is how she communicates, how she accepts difficulty and faults, how she attacks problems, how she loves on the kids, how she loves on me, how she shows up for herself, how she takes care of herself, how she may communicate certain ideas. Like there's things that over time you shift. So someone goes, oh, aren't you that person that was like at one point she was just Christina, my girlfriend or my wife or, whoever she was. And then she's like, oh, you're a mom. Now she's a mom. Same person, but there's a part of her identity that's shifted to now she's a mom. Then she starts opening businesses. Oh, you're a business owner. Like there's a different addition of the identity. She's still Christina. This is still the same person. She's not this all of a sudden different human. She's the same person with different shifts of her identity.
I love that. It's sort of, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's really like the core that drives her, right? Is that what you want to say?
I mean, there is a desire and a need for all of us to stay in alignment with who we believe ourselves to be. So there is that alignment portion for all of us. And as long as you're in alignment with who you see yourself to be at your core, you can do different things, try different stuff. As long as you go to bed at night, go like, I still like me. I'm good inside. That's why when people all of a sudden like, maybe you take somebody's life. I've never done that before. I don't know. Maybe you do that. Like you've now done something that doesn't feel like it's you. You feel way out of alignment. So guilt creeps in, you start to self-sabotage, you get quiet. Like it would change the way you operate. You see in movies, it adjusts. They put in movies because it's a real human thing. It's not who I am. It's out of character. It's awkward. Like it's just different. Or people who, it's the reason I think why people that win the lottery, all of a sudden like life goes crazy. Because it's not who they are to have all that kind of money. They didn't build them to be the person that can handle $150 million. That's not their identity. That's why if your identity doesn't match the dream, it goes sideways. That's why there's so many videos and documentaries on people that win the lottery, their life falling apart. Like it's not always a great thing, man, because then you get all this you get all this stuff that maybe the base of you doesn't believe you deserve. Other people tell you don't deserve, right? or you don't have the skill sets to steward and manage it. So it's like you just get overwhelmed and it's outside of your current identity. So yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, man, where a lot of different things all kind of intermix there.
Yeah, you're not prepared, basically, right?
It's not who
You're
you
not
are.
prepared
Yeah,
to.
for sure. Ill prepared, you can call it that.
What is the, if we are to embark on a journey of shifting our identity consciously, in this case, because unconsciously we can't do much about it, but consciously, what is the one thing that we need to love about the process?
The process, oh man, you
Of
gotta love just the days. You just gotta fall in love with the days, man. And you have to attach your identity to the effort, not the outcome. Because there's gonna be
makes sense.
outcomes, and we desire the outcome. But if you're only attaching it to the day, or sorry, to the outcome, then what happens every day you finish a day not feeling like you accomplished much or feeling less than, and that's not a good place to be, man. So I'm really big on like I try to attach my sense of self worth or my identity in any way. I try and attach it to, did I do the right work today? Like, did I do what needed to be done? Because then and you ask, like, well, are you afraid of dying? I'm like, I would be afraid of dying if I only felt like I was accomplished when I reached the outcome. But I love my days, man. Like I love how everything flows. I love the fluidity of it. So like I'm in love with it. So I'm good. You know, that's why it's not a fear, because every day I'm doing things I love, even if it's things that I made it on paper love, right? I love finding something within it to love, we'll call it. So it's just a journey, man. It's a process, and I do enjoy the process.
Do you have to learn how to love certain things that you initially didn't like?
That's it. Yeah, you have to. It's love's an emotion, man, but it's also a verb, and the verb leads to the emotion. The action of doing something or loving something leads to the emotion of it, right? So when people are like relationships that fall apart, it's like I just want to have that spark. You want the spark? Go do things that would bring back the spark, or go do things that if you had the spark, you would do, right? And it sounds odd. They go, well, I don't have the energy of the emotion. Like, yeah, of course you don't. But like, for example, I have kids. When kids are born, they don't give me anything. They poop and they cry and they don't sleep. You know what I'm saying? It's a horrible. This little being is not fun, but I deeply love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. We love these little things to a fault, right? These little babies. Why is that? Because you're loving it. You're giving of energy and giving of actions that develops that emotion of love. The return is that. So it's the same thing for any emotion. It's like I got to go and do that thing in that direction to return this. So when you go out and you find this action you don't want to do, and like I hate doing it, well, yeah, if you give it energy and you're hating the whole time, it's gonna suck. But if you go and say, I want to find a way to love this, I'm gonna give loving energy to it. It's very interesting that all of a sudden you fall in love with it.
How do you do that? Because it sounds easy, but I'm pretty sure it isn't, right? Finding the things that you love in something that initially in your mindset is something that, well, you're supposed to hate.
Go,
Do you have an example?
yeah, I mean, anything you go looking for, you'll find. So if you go looking for something you don't like, you will find something you don't like. Your brain is very
Yeah.
good. Your brain's like a little search and find tool. It's a predictive tool. It wants to predict what's coming. It'll go seeking something that you set it on. So if you're like, I hate this. I don't want to go out here and clean this. Like for me, here's an example. My son, he picks up poop. He hates the poop. His brain said, poop. No, I hate this. And it's weird. My initial thought in my head is like, you know what? I would find a way to listen to some really cool music and then go pick up poop. So then it gives me a reason to get to listen to this music. It's a really odd thing, but I'll find a way to love this thing I do. I'll find a way. My wife, she hates going with me places to do stuff with my people in my work. She's like, I don't want to go meet new people. I just want to sit at home. I don't want to meet new people. Totally get it. But I go and meet her people all the time. I hang out with her friends. I do stuff, and I don't always like all of her friends, right? But I will go there and find ways to be happy. I'll try. I actually give effort. Like I'll have conversations and I'll talk about stuff and I'll enjoy myself because I gave the effort with intention. I told my brain, hey, go find something you like. And lo and behold, it finds something it likes.
I love that. I think you've blown some brains right here. To be honest, you've blown my way, my brain. I have one question And I think you're the perfect person to ask this question to, especially through your experiences. How does one learn to love unconditionally?
Love unconditionally. I don't know if you. It's weird. I don't know if you'd learn. How can you learn to love unconditionally? I think if you I'm just going to go off and give you an idea of what I think it might be. And this doesn't mean it's for sure the truth because I've never been asked this question. I'm thinking of it in real time. So when I think unconditional, it's to love without condition, right? To do it full bore without condition. And I think it's whenever you're able to pour out, and that's good enough. Like just giving, like it's like if you are content, genuinely content with giving the gift and not getting a gift back, like if giving of the gift feels better than receiving the gift, I think you're living in that space of unconditional love. Because unconditional love means I'm going to give it to you. Doesn't matter what you do. I'm going to give it to you. You're my kid. Like I unconditionally love my children, and me loving on my children, taking them places, even if they don't say thank you, I'm still going to do it. I'm going to be like, hey, bro, you should probably say thank you. And you know, that's going to have a conversation, but like, I'm still going to do it. I'm not going to be like, you didn't say thank you. I'm not doing it. I'm only going to love you when you do this thing for me. Right. So I think it ends up being is like, I've got to get to the point where I'm not even worried about, or I don't even think about what the return of my action is going to be. If I am happy by just doing the action of loving, I think that's how you get to the point of having that unconditional love. But it's a journey. How you get there, I think you reframe what the outcome should be for you. You reframe what your return should be. If you can reframe the aspect of like, I'm doing this so I can get this, like if the means to my end is not based on the person giving me something, I'm in a better headspace and I think you do things differently. Like if the means is to love and the end is to give love, then my means met the end and I'm happy. But I think when the end goes beyond that and you're doing it to get something for yourself, you'll never learn to unconditionally love.
Like I see why you're a motivational speaker, like on the spot.
I hate that. I hate the moniker too because I don't even think I'm a motivational speaker. I don't even. I don't. The thing is though, that's the box I get put into. Oh, he's a motivational speaker. In my head, I'm like, bro, I don't even know if I'm motivational at all. I just tell people things that come into my brain. But you know what I do though? I think a lot. I think that I think more than most people think, if that makes sense. I don't believe my thoughts are better. Not my thoughts aren't. Some are. There's some good thoughts. But I spend time thinking. I'll sit here and just look up into the sky and I'll think about stuff. And I think everybody else spends time in their phone consuming other people's thoughts. So I just have different thoughts and I can connect the dots in real time and go, oh, I've thought this before and that happened. It comes out of my face and then it works. And sometimes it doesn't.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I've been curious. I'm the curious guy who has a bunch of weird information about stuff that I shouldn't have information about. Like I end up always having like people ask me questions that I have odd answers because I know the answer. Because I watch documentaries and I do stuff. Because I like to just, it's like I want to have a bunch of ingredients in the kitchen, so that when I share the thought of the meal, there's a little bit more seasoning to it. That's all.
Ah, that's exciting. I love that. And the other thing is as well, you just said like I put you in a box by saying that, like you're a motivational speaker. But well, the thing is, how would we live life without putting people in boxes? It's the way our brain works, because our brain loves to. I mean, there is a reason why we have knives and forks in our kitchen and not in our bathroom. That's the same reason why we put people in the boxes.
You kind of have to have the separation. There's a place for everything. Our brains are built to be structured and organized, or we just taught ourselves to make our brains do this, because most brains are creative and they think out of the box. I don't know, man. You know what I think? I think that we are stupid in comparison to our ancestral counterparts. And I think this because, and most people look at like old timey people like they must have been idiots. Really though? I mean, really think about the things that they created. They created an entire country and a constitution and all this weird stuff. It's got flaws, obviously. But nowadays, when you're bored, you put your face into a phone, you play a game, you don't do any kind of, cognitive rigor for concepts. You're not doing, critical thinking. There's none of that's going on. We let our brain vegetate. We consume stuff, right? And a small subset of the population creates these crazy, intricate things that allow us to have the ability to do that, to veg out on stuff. And in my head, I'm like, back in the day, people used to just sit there and talk to each other. And I mean, like, legitimately, there was no TV. And entertainment was me and you talking, thinking about stuff, expanding on things. Why did this happen? Doing experiments, research. That was it. Working with my hands, creating things, learning stuff. I think this is my opinion. I may be dead wrong, but I feel like if you put us up against our ancestors, we would lose like 10 times out of 10, damn near, in like we'll call them mental competitions. Given the same information, if we had the same, obviously we now know more about science and the body than we knew back then. Obviously, right? There's more information, but I think sheer intelligence, they may have exercised the brain better than we do because they were using it more. So for me, it's like the way I do it is I just sit and think about stuff, and people call me smart. Oh, you're smart. Am I really though? Like, am I really, or am I just using this thing that no one else is using in a way that no one else is using it? I don't think that I'm this incredibly, like, I'm sure I'm smart, but I'm only smart in comparison, right, to certain demographics or majorities. And the reality is I'm no different. I'm just a guy that just thinks. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation. You ever heard that movie called Idiocracy?
No.
It's a funny
I'll write
one.
it down straight away.
It's not a great one. It's a stupid movie. It's like this guy, he gets put in this like a time capsule, and then the time capsule, like, he gets tucked away somewhere, and then he wakes up like thousands of years later, and everybody's stupid, and he's a genius. Like he's a regular guy, but he's a genius. And it's like he's only a genius because of the comparison to the fact that everybody else is stupid, right? That's really what it is. So I almost feel like maybe that they made that movie with the concept of like an expansion, extrapolation. Like maybe we're like that. Maybe we just don't do the critical thinking and everything that everybody else should.
Yeah, but like you've got a point, because like I think it used to be in like the Greeks or Romans, they were able to memorize X and X amount of things due to like I've read like a few books on like I'm very interested in like reading faster, and like all these methodologies and methods that you can use, and also memory, and like they use all these different mind maps and stuff, and nowadays we write it on our phone. So if we were to be challenged against our ancestors and we were not able to use our phones, I think I'm on your side of this. Cool. I have some final questions for you.
All right.
And these are a little bit different in the way that if anyone would just tune in onto the podcast right now, these would be like of tremendous value. It doesn't mean that you didn't provide any tremendous value before, but if they had to only listen this,
Okay.
and they would have to be answered in as short as possible.
Short as possible. Okay.
Okay.
Rapid fire,
Yeah.
but rapid, knowledgeable fire.
Okay. So the first question is actually split into three, but it's like three questions, and there's only one part which is changed all the time.
Okay.
So what is the biggest lesson that you have learned from 1, your childhood and foster care, 2, your relationship with your high school sweetheart,
Mm-hmm.
and 3, with coaching and serving others?
So the biggest lesson from childhood, I would say, is resiliency. Like, it's just it's not going to kill you if you don't let it. So you got to find a way. Like, it's not going to kill you if you don't let it, man. So be resilient. I would say the relationship is it's that the other person in a relationship is the puzzle you chose to solve.
Ooh.
It's nobody else's puzzle, man. It's your puzzle. So if you don't like it, like, hey, you picked it, bro. Figure it out. But you don't throw the puzzle away. You choose to find, and you enjoy the puzzle. You find ways to enjoy figuring the puzzle out. And the third one was business, you said? What was the third one?
Yeah, coaching and serving others.
Oh, what was the biggest lesson I learned? It's a lot of lessons there, man.
What's the one that comes straight away into
I
your
would
head?
say that it's that what I think is valuable is not always what's valuable. The person gets to determine that.
Ooh, interesting.
So people try to create stuff and give people stuff because they think they need it. And it's like, bro, it's only valuable if I think it is.
Another two questions. What is the best advice that you've ever been given?
The best advice I've ever been given, I would say it takes a little more to be a champion. My coach in college said that one. It's that inherent, like if I talk about identity and we're growing, you ask like, when do you know you've made it? Like you never have. It's always a moving ball. It's always. So anytime you feel like you've arrived, it takes a little bit more. It's a consistent push to be better.
Nice. And the last one is, what is the one advice that you will leave the audience with today?
The one piece of advice for the audience. My sacred thing, man. I would just say make shift happen. I think it's you don't say make shift happen, at like big level if you just went out and like, I guys, I went and bought the book, I made the movie or watched the movie. I mean, all right, I made a good meal. Like you do that when you've done something amazing. You've made something unexpected happen. And so when I think about that, I think life is lived at a higher level when you're experiencing those higher emotions, the kind of emotion present when you go, man, I made that shift happen.